So, I was given this 2012 Mac Mini and I was told it was completely dead. Like, this thing was ready to be thrown away and forgotten about as e-waste. But when I actually got it in my hands, something didn't really add up. As you can see, there's no obvious damage besides these residue marks. Nothing really indicates that this thing is completely gone. This friend of mine actually mentioned that this thing feels more like something that had been left behind, rather than something that was truly broken. These things don't just die randomly, you know? So in this video, we're gonna try and actually find out if that's true. We're gonna try and get this 2012 Mac Mini and bring it to life. And hopefully, save it from ending up as e-waste. So let's check this thing out. After taking a closer look at the Mac Mini, like I mentioned before, I started realizing that this thing might not actually be dead at all. Externally, it looked perfectly fine. There were no major dents, no corrosion, or nothing that immediately screams out as broken. So I mean, with that, let's go ahead and plug this thing in and see if we get any video out, or even any signs of life, to put it that way. That is one beep every 5 seconds. Okay, so that basically means that we have no memory. I'm assuming my friend definitely concluded that the machine was no longer functioning just because of this. And he probably just would have dropped it off in an e-waste recycling center. And honestly, that's what makes this stuff so interesting to me. One thing I've definitely seen throughout my history of repairing devices is that before these things get thrown away, their internals usually get stripped down so that, the previous owners or the people who are about to throw these machines away can re-salvage those parts for newer machines. So when these things get into other people's hands, they conclude that the machine is no longer functioning just because it's missing a few internal components. Well, let's open this thing up and see if there's anything else wrong with it besides the RAM, which definitely should be an easy fix. So at this point, we already know the issue, and we also know that the Mac Mini actually isn't completely dead at all. All it needs is some memory. And as you can see, we're also going to do a little SSD upgrade for this thing. These old Mac Minis are very easy to work on. Once you twist the bottom cover, there we go. You get full easy access to the internals of the Mac Mini. And as we can see here, where exactly has the memory gone? But the only thing that really matters right now is actually seeing if we get any video output out of this thing. So for this, I'm gonna get one memory stick, and I'll pop this into the bottom slot, and then we press this thing down. And you'll get a very satisfying little click. And with that, let's see if we get any video output from this thing. I couldn't be asked to move the camera tripod back to my main desk, so I'm recording this with my iPhone. Anyways, I've got everything plugged in, so let's press the power button and see if we get any video output. And look at that. And with that, we get a video output. And hey, now we know that the hard drive has either been fully wiped, or it's just broken. But either way, we're going to replace that with the SSD. Alright, well now that we know that this thing is working to an extent, we can continue on with further tinkering. So last thing I want to do is get some fresh thermal paste onto the CPU here. It has been 14 years since this thing was probably last opened, so this new paste should hopefully make a difference to the temperatures. The first thing that we got to do is get these two screws taken off from the fan. So let's quickly do that. Okay, and the fan assembly should just come off like that. There's a little fan connector here that we got to be a bit careful about. Let's just remove that. Alright, nice, now we've got the fan on. Now we gotta remove this little black piece here, right next to the motherboard, and there should be a little T6 screw that's holding it in place. We just gotta take that out. Okay. Removing this little black piece should be a pretty easy job. We just gotta lift it up, and then slide it away, just like that. Okay, and for the next bit, we gotta get this little plate removed. Another pretty easy thing to do. We just gotta unscrew this. These two screws are T8, and then it's the same case for these two other screws at the top. Okay, and then we can just pry this antenna plate off, and there we go. Now make sure you pry off the antenna plate very gently because it's actually connected to a Wi-Fi card. I've got that disconnected here, but these little connections are very gentle, so be careful about that. Okay, and we can put this aside. And as we can see here, we have full access to the hard drive. Now for the hard drive, the actual connector is right here, so let's pry that up. And we should just be able to take this hard drive out, and there we go. Look at this slow little 2.5-inch drive here. We're going to replace that with an SSD. So I'm going to take the SATA connector off, very gently though. We actually got to take this sticker off before we take the actual connector off. Alright, and now we should be able to just take this thing right off the hard drive. Okay, now we can pop the connector onto the new SSD here. We are going to take the motherboard out though, so we can repaste the CPU. So I'm not going to put this back in just yet. We'll set this aside with the hard drive. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to take the memory out that I inserted before. And now we're nearly ready to take the motherboard out. The IR sensors connector is right there. We gotta plug that out though, so let's quickly do that. And we should be nearly good to take the motherboard out. Now we gotta take this screw off real quick. This screw right here is a T8 screw, and this other one is a T6 screw. So let's unscrew that as well. Alright, now the iFixit guide actually states that we need a logic board removal tool, and I do not have one of those. So instead I'm gonna use 2 screwdrivers to actually try and get the motherboard out. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but there's 2 holes here, one there and one there. So I'm gonna stick the screwdriver in that one and the other screwdriver in this one. Okay, I put a little too much force in that, but you're gonna want to pry the motherboard to the logic board and just push it out like that. That definitely did do the job, but I'm gonna try and be a bit more gentle next time. Anyways, with that, we can now pull the motherboard out. Oh wait, never mind, I'm forgetting one small crucial bit. There is a connector here that I gotta remove as well. Okay, that should be fine. Alright, well now that we've got the motherboard somewhat out, we can just push it away from the chassis. Just like that. And here it is. Okay, so now that we have the motherboard out, we're gonna start off with the thermal paste change. Again, it's been 14 years, this thing needs a repaste. So this should be a pretty easy thing to do. First things first, we've gotta remove this entire heatsink. Okay, and now we can begin prying. So let's pop this off. And there we go. We've got this entire heatsink assembly taken off, so we will put this aside. Now I'm going to use some isopropyl alcohol just to clean the CPU. This is a PCH, which doesn't really matter that much, and it's already got thermal paste on there, so I'm not really going to put any thermal paste on that. But the CPU's thermal paste definitely does look a little dried up. I've got some isopropyl alcohol on this Q-tip here, so let me just clean that off. Okay, that looks pretty clean to me. There is some thermal paste on the edges of the die, but it doesn't really matter, honestly. Alright, I've got some thermal paste here, and we're going to apply a tiny bit of thermal paste here, preferably a very tiny line. And that should be good. It's not too little and it's not too much. Okay, and now we can put the heatsink back on. And we'll gently lay the main part of the heatsink, where the CPU is, down gently. Okay, and that should be good. Okay, now I'm going to quickly screw back everything together. Alright, and with that, our Mac Mini has been repasted. So I've got the chassis back here, and I'm just going to pop this back in. And there we go. And you remember that connector that I nearly forgot to disconnect? Well, that's the power connector, so I'm just going to make sure that I have that connected back in. Okay, should be good. And then same thing for the IR sensor. Pop that back in. Now I'm actually going to pop the motherboard back just a few inches so we can install the SSD here. Now usually you do want to make sure that there's a bit of space here where the hard drive usually goes. It just makes it easier to work in. So make sure the SSD is the other way around. And we can pop this in. Okay, and then we can get the SSD and pop that connector back in where we originally took it off from. Okay, that should be fine. Right, now we can push the motherboard in, just so that it's in place, and now we should be good to go with the rest of the upgrade. Right, now as for the memory, we're going to go from 4GB to 8GB. Now ideally I would go to 16GB, unfortunately though I do not have enough DDR3 SODIMMs for that. So we'll just stick with 8GB, at least it will be a step up from 4. So like I did before, I'm going to pop this DIMM in, and then press down on it, and there we go. So our 8GB of RAM should be in, and for some reason our hard drive connector just popped off. I'm going to quickly put that back on. Right, now I'm going to screw the motherboard back in. Okay. Wow, just took my bit with it. Next we've got the antenna plate. So let's pop this connector on. And perfect, so we got the antenna plate back on. Now for the second to last bit, we got to get this little black piece back on. And then we can put back that T6 screw from before into this hole, and that should be fine. Now for the last part, we got the fan. We're gonna pop that fan connector back on, and there we go. Okay, and now that we've got the fan connected to the motherboard, we can just drop the fan right into place. And then we can screw this down. And then we'll do the same for the other 2 screws for the fan. Okay, and we are good to go. We have now repaired and serviced our 2012 Mac Mini. So let's pop this back panel on, and then we can rotate it, and it should be locked. So let's get this thing plugged in and see what we're working with here. And surprisingly, it actually did fully boot up with no issues. Once the RAM and SSD were installed, this Mac Mini basically came back to life like nothing had ever actually happened to it. Now after getting macOS installed, I checked the specs and everything looked pretty decent for a machine from 2012. And our 8GB of RAM and SSD were all fully showing up. But there is one problem. This Mac Mini officially maxes out at macOS Catalina. And while Catalina still works in 2026, it definitely does feel outdated. More and more apps are starting to lose support for it, and certain modern features are definitely missing. Overall, it just doesn't feel like the best experience anymore. So instead of leaving this Mac Mini stuck on Catalina forever, I decided to upgrade it using something called OpenCore Legacy Patcher, or also known as OCLP. Basically, it allows older unsupported Macs to run newer versions of macOS that Apple normally wouldn't let you install. And for a machine like this, Monterey is pretty much the sweet spot. It is modern enough to still feel current, but still lightweight enough that these older Intel Macs can handle it surprisingly well. Now, after letting Monterey installed, this Mac Mini honestly felt way more newer than it has any right to. Now, I can assure you everything was really smooth. Modern apps actually did start working properly again. And it no longer felt stuck in the past like it did on Catalina. So naturally, the first thing I had to do was to test YouTube out, and surprisingly, video playback was actually pretty solid at 1080p 60. Even at some higher resolutions, this little 2012 Mac Mini handled it pretty much a lot more better than I expected. Now, especially considering it was literally considered e-waste just a few hours ago. And of course, I had to try out Minecraft. Now, obviously, this isn't some crazy gaming machine or anything, but for a 13-year-old tiny desktop running a completely unsupported operating system, it actually did a pretty decent job, ranging from 40 to 60 FPS. Running at medium settings on the latest version of Minecraft right now. Now, it's definitely not perfect, but it still proves this thing still has plenty of life in it. And honestly, I think this Mac Mini still proves that a lot of older tech gets thrown away way too quickly. This computer was literally considered dead and was on its way to becoming e-waste. But in reality, it was only missing a couple of parts. After adding some RAM, an SSD, and upgrading it to Monterey, it turned into a completely usable machine again. Now, no, it's not going to replace a brand new Mac Studio or anything like that, but for web browsing, media playback, and a bit of light work, or even some casual gaming, it still holds up surprisingly well in 2026. And considering this thing is from 2012, it's honestly very impressive. I think that's one of the coolest things about older Macs like these. Even after Apple officially leaves them behind, there's still a community finding ways to keep these things alive. And in this case, instead of ending up as literal e-waste, this Mac Mini gets a second chance at life. And now I'm going to turn this thing into a new home server. So that's pretty much it. If you liked what you saw there, definitely consider liking the video and subscribing. Feel free to join the Discord server too, I'll leave that in the description below. Remember, if you find any tech out there in the wild that you think definitely should still get a second chance in life, definitely pick it up. Save these things from being recycled and forgotten about. Anyways, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!